The single biggest reason you keep failing at weight loss isn't your body. It's your brain's refusal to let go of the mindset that's keeping you stuck. So who do you truly want to be? The woman stuck in the same exhausting cycle with years slipping by, wondering if anything is ever going to change? Or will you become the woman today who draws the line and proves herself wrong? You've probably tried everything, cutting certain food groups which only lasted a bit, and yet the scale barely moves. Or worse, it actually bounces back. The frustration, the guilt, the shame, they hit like a ton of bricks, whispering something might be wrong with you. But here's the truth, most of the time, nothing is wrong with your body. The fight is truly with the voice inside of your head, the habits that you've been unconsciously feeding, and the mindset that constantly runs the show in the background. Until that shifts, nothing else will shift, because your mindset is the invisible filter that decides every choice, every habit, and every relapse. Most women I work with feel trapped in one of two patterns: the fixed mindset, internalize "this is just who I am, I can't lose weight, this is why I'll always fail," or the start over spiral, jumping into strict diets, falling off, and drowning in guilt. It feels endless, like pushing a bus up a hill only to watch it roll back down again. And research proves it. A study in obesity reviews find that women that have a fixed mindset were twice as likely to regain the weight compared to practicing a growth mindset. Translation, it's not always about the perfect plan. It's about the mindset behind the plan. But I want you to actually sit down and actually think about what happens if you don't change. You'll keep recycling through diets that feel like punishment. You'll silence your needs with food and self-criticism. And 5 years from now, you might be standing and staring in the exact same bathroom mirror with less energy, less confidence, and a louder voice in your head saying, "This maybe is just who I am." That's not just physical pain. That's emotional erosion. Eats away at your identity, your relationships, and ultimately your hope. But here's the good news. Mindset change is not magic. It's literal science. And when you follow the following framework that I'm going to give you in this video, you don't just lose weight. You rebuild the way you see yourself. Step 1, you need to clarify your why. And your why can't just be, "Oh, I just want to look better." It has to pierce deep enough to hit raw emotions that finally forces you to change. Ask yourself, what's at stake if I stay the same? And what do I gain if I finally change? Your why could be, "I want to live long enough and strong enough so that I can actually see my kids graduate. I want to finally feel confident again without shrinking myself into the background every time I walk into a room. I want to finally wake up without the dread and knowing that I can finally trust myself." This why becomes your anchor. Step 2, know your stage and where you're at. No, you're not going to be ready in the perfect sense to start. The truth is, change happens in stages, and knowing which stage you're in is the key to not burning out or quitting. So ask yourself these questions. Are you in the pre-contemplation stage? This stage is where you're not even thinking about change yet. Maybe you think you don't need to change, or it's impossible to change. If you catch yourself saying, "This is just who I am," you're probably in this stage, the contemplation stage. This is when you start to want to change, but you feel in this cycle of should I or should I not? You know something has to shift, but you're hesitating. The preparation stage. Here's a stage where you're actually getting ready. You're making small plans, you're researching, or telling yourself, "Okay, I'm about to start." The action stage. This is when you're actively doing the work. You're changing habits, you're showing up, you're following through. And finally, the maintenance stage. Here's where you're actually sustaining that change. You've built momentum, and now the focus is on keeping the progress without sliding backwards. Don't rush this process. The goal isn't to leap from where you are into massive action. The goal is to match your next step to your current stage and build from there. Step 3, we need to reframe those thoughts. Now remember, your thoughts drive your behavior. So you need to sit down and write down your barriers. So if you tell yourself, "I simply don't have time to make this change. I always fail every time I make an attempt." Now you need to start reframing these thoughts. How about, "I can start in 10 minutes. I simply haven't found out what works yet, but I can." Every reframe weakens old wiring. Step 4, set tiny but specific goals. Now here's where people get it so wrong. They set goals that are way too big, extremely vague, and of course, way too overwhelming. "I'm going to eat healthier. I'm going to work out every single day," when you have not worked out in like the last 3 years. "I'm going to change my entire life starting on Monday." But your brain doesn't work like that. Big yet vague goals trigger resistance. They activate the fear of failure before you even start. So instead, you need to shrink your goals so that you can actually attain them. Add 1 serving of vegetables to your lunch 5 times this week. Walk for 10 minutes after dinner twice this week. Why does this matter? Because every time you follow through through on these tiny specific goals, you simply give your brain evidence that you actually can be trusted. And this evidence is going to build confidence. And confidence creates momentum. And momentum is the foundation of a new mindset. You stop saying, I always fail, and start proving to yourself step by step that you can actually do this. Step 5, if-then plans. This is where you protect your new mindset before it collapses into old patterns. Because here's the truth. Relapse doesn't start with food. It starts with a thought. I'm stressed. I deserve this. I blew it. So what's the point? If-then plans gives your brain a script before the old story takes over. For example, if it's 7:30 p.m. and I want a snack, then I'll make tea first. These aren't just behaviors, they're mental interruptions. Tiny cues that say, I have another choice. And every time you follow through on that choice, you weaken the old identity of I always fail and strengthen the new identity of I can trust myself. And that's how if-then planning actually rewires your mindset. It keeps you from sliding into relapse by giving your brain a lifeline in the exact moment that you typically tend to relapse or spiral. Step 6, build habits within your environment. Your environment shapes you more than motivation does. Keep fruit on the counter. Don't allow those chips into the house or keep it in the cupboards. Put your running shoes right in front of the door. Prep your water bottles the night before. And don't forget your digital environment. Unfollow the diet noise and follow accounts that actually inspire your growth. Step 7, monitor and feedback. Once a week, ask yourself, what worked? What felt difficult? What's one small tweak that you can make for next week? And celebrate any progress that you actually made. Better sleep, more energy, one less binge. Your brain thrives on proof that you're actually winning. Step 8, plan for those slip-ups. Here's the truth. You will slip up and everybody does. But slips aren't a sign of failure. They're just a sign of feedback. If you missed a workout, go ahead and stretch before bed and get it tomorrow. Eat a balanced breakfast tomorrow. Here's why this matters for mindset. Every time you recover quickly, you're proving to yourself that one mistake doesn't erase your entire progress. You're teaching your brain a new belief. I don't quit when things get hard. I simply adapt. And that's the mindset that separates people from giving up very easily and those who actually reach their goals. Because success isn't built on perfection. It's built on resilience. Step 9, support and accountability. Now here's something most women overlook. Support isn't just about having company. It's about rewiring your beliefs on what's possible. When you check in with a friend or join a group, you start to see proof that change is normal and not impossible. That shifts your mindset from I'm alone and I can't do this to if she can do it, I can definitely do it. And accountability builds integrity with yourself. When you know somebody is checking in, you're more likely to follow through, not just for them, but because it changes your brain. I keep promises to myself and I can trust myself. And this is how support turns willpower into identity. Change grows stronger when it's actually shared. Step 10, maintenance and identity shifts. This is the transformation point because the real win isn't simply the number on the scale. It's when you can actually say, I'm somebody that fuels my body properly. I'm somebody who actually keeps my promises to myself. I'm somebody that moves my body daily because it's just who I am. And it's not what I have to do. When your habits become your identity, those relapses lose their power because you're not on a diet. You're finally aligned with you. Now, if this video resonated with you, go ahead and hit that like button, subscribe for more science-backed strategies, and share your biggest mindset shifts in the comments below. And if you want extra tools, go ahead and check out the links in the description. And I'll see you in the next video.